Out of everything you have encountered today, you paused here, and there is a quiet significance in that choice. This moment may not be as ordinary as it seems, as if the air around you has grown slightly stiller, waiting for a word to be spoken that you have long needed to hear. You may have been feeling a strange pull lately, a subtle stirring in your chest that you couldn't quite name or explain to those around you. Just give this a little space for a second. Let the world outside go quiet, and stay with this feeling as it begins to unfold into something much deeper. My child, my heir, the silence you have carried for so long was never meant to be a permanent state of your soul. You may have noticed how the days seem to stretch into a quiet, hollow echo, where your prayers felt like they were floating into an empty room without an answer. This discomfort you've lived with is often the weight of a door that has remained closed for far too long, guarded by forces that whisper you aren't yet ready for the light. There is something about the way the light is changing in your life right now that suggests those quiet guardians are finally stepping back to let you pass. In a moment, it may become clearer why your path felt so narrow, and why the riches you felt were yours seemed just beyond your reach, held in a place you couldn't yet see. You may have felt this before, that sensation of being on the very edge of a breakthrough, only to have the wind suddenly die down. It is a common struggle to feel as though you are doing everything right, following every sign, and yet the results remain hidden behind a veil of shadow. These are the shadow gatekeepers of your future, the subtle weights of doubt and old narratives that have stood at the threshold of your destiny to see if you would turn back. You may be noticing now that those shadows no longer hold the same power over your heart that they once did. Something is shifting in the way you perceive your own value, and this connects to something deeper that has been waiting for you in the unseen realms. Imagine, my chosen, that you are standing in a place beyond time, a silent and vast nexus of dimensions where every possibility of your life is stored. In this quiet inner chamber of the universe, the grand arbiter of light sits in reflection, watching over the scrolls of your journey with a gaze that is both ancient and incredibly kind. There is a sense of immense peace here, far away from the noise of your daily worries and the pressure of the world's expectations. You may notice a subtle warmth beginning to radiate from this setting, as if the very walls of this nexus are made of gold and soft light. There is something about this place that feels more like home than anywhere you have ever set foot on Earth. You are not here randomly, for the Arbiter has noted the exact second your spirit reached a point of total surrender. You may have experienced a real-life moment recently, perhaps waking in the middle of the night with a sudden, quiet realization that you cannot continue living in the almost. It is that feeling of looking into the mirror and seeing a version of yourself that has been merely surviving, waiting for a permission slip from the universe to finally thrive. There is a reason you are hearing this now, because that permission has already been signed in the courts of light and is currently being delivered to your spirit. If something within you resonates, you may already understand why you're here at this specific juncture of your life. My beloved, you are the designated custodian of a kingdom that has been prepared for you since before your first breath. This identity is not something you earn through struggle, but something you recognize through the shedding of everything that is not truly yours. You may have felt hollow in the past because you were trying to fill your life with the riches of others, ignoring the preordained treasure that was marked with your unique frequency. There is an archive in the heavens, a hidden place of reflection where your true inheritance has been kept safe from the gatekeepers who tried to convince you it didn't exist. Stay with this moment for a second, for there is something deeper here that is beginning to stir within your awareness. As you stand at this threshold, a symbol of your new authority is beginning to manifest in the spirit. You may sense a soft, pulsing heat above your brow, a sensation like a crown of white flames gently resting upon your head. This crown does not burn the skin, but it consumes the lies and the limitations that the world has tried to place upon your mind. It is a mark of divine recognition, a signal to the dimensions that the heir has finally arrived at the nexus to claim what was always theirs. This crown of white flames is the burning seal of your restoration, proving that the time of being hollow is over and the time of being filled has begun. Not everything is clear yet, and that is by design, for the unsealing of your life happens in stages that your heart can handle. You may be noticing a shift in your environment, perhaps a sudden ending of a relationship or a change in your work that feels like a loss but is actually a clearing of the path. The grand arbiter of light does not remove things to leave you empty, but to make space for the preordained riches that are finally being released from the divine vault. There is something about this transition that feels different than the trials of your past. There is a lightness now, a sense of quiet inevitability. Stay with this feeling as it expands, for the restoration of your joy and your purpose is closer than your next breath. You may have felt the pressure of a countdown in your spirit, a ticking clock that told you something was about to give. That countdown ends this very second, not with a loud explosion, but with the silent turning of a key in a lock that has been stuck for generations. You are the one who was chosen to break the cycle of lack in your bloodline, the one who was brave enough to wait through the silence until the true riches could be revealed. There may be a reason you are hearing this now, as the frequencies of the nexus are beginning to harmonize with the frequency of your own heartbeat. You are moving from a state of searching into a state of becoming, where the things you once chased will now begin to chase you. My child, take a moment to notice what you are feeling in your body as these words settle into your soul. The heaviness you carried when you first arrived here is beginning to lift, replaced by a grounded awareness of your own power and the support of the heavens. You are no longer standing outside the gate. You are the one who holds the key, and the gatekeepers must now bow to the light you carry. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this frequency of truth and restoration. Let this message integrate into your being, and know that the unsealing of your destiny is a process that has already begun, moving you surely toward the fullness of all you were meant to be. There is a reason you are seeing this right now, a specific alignment in the quiet architecture of your life that has led you to this pause. Something is shifting quietly beneath the surface of your day, a movement in the unseen that you have likely felt but could not yet put into words. You may have sensed this before, a quickening in your spirit during the moments when you were most alone, as if a great secret was about to be whispered. Don't rush past this just yet, but allow your breath to slow as you step into the space that has been cleared specifically for your arrival. My heir, my beloved, you have walked through a long season of feeling curiously hollow, as if you were a vessel perfectly formed but inexplicably empty. You may have noticed this now in the way your achievements seem to lack the weight you expected, or how your most sincere efforts often feel like they are missing a vital spark. This hollowness was never a sign of your failure, but rather a necessary preparation for the final unsealing of riches that cannot be contained by a heart still cluttered with small things. There is something about this current silence that is more than just an absence. It is a profound readiness for what is about to be poured in. You may have felt this before, the sensation of being watched by eyes that do not wish you well, those shadow gatekeepers who stand at the boundaries of your next chapter. These gatekeepers are the personifications of the delays and the invisible walls you have encountered whenever you tried to reach for the life you knew was promised to you. They operate in the shadows of your doubt, whispering that your time has passed or that the abundance you seek was meant for someone else. You are noticing now that as you move closer to this divine nexus, those shadows are beginning to flicker and fade, unable to stand in the increasing brilliance of your true identity. Imagine yourself walking down a silent corridor within the nexus of dimensions, a place where the walls are lined with the glowing books of every soul's potential. In this setting, the air is thick with the scent of ancient wisdom and the soft hum of possibilities waiting to be birthed into the physical world. As you walk, the shadows on the walls try to lengthen, attempting to distract you from the light at the end of the hall. Yet your feet remain steady. You may be noticing how the further you walk, the more the discomfort of your past begins to fall away, replaced by an emerging clarity about who you were always meant to be. In this corridor, you are not a traveler or a guest, but the designated kingdom custodian, the one who holds the authority to manage the treasures stored in these hidden archives. You may have lived for years under the impression that you were a servant in your own life, waiting for crumbs of favor while the banquet remained locked behind heavy doors. Part of you already understands this is no longer true, and that the keys you have been searching for are not hidden in the world, but are being forged in the heat of your own soul's expansion. In a moment, this may become clearer as you realize that the wealth you are about to inherit is a spiritual and material weight that only a seasoned custodian can carry. If something within you resonates, you may already understand why you're here, listening to the echoes of your own future being called into the present. There is a subtle, real-life moment you might recall. Perhaps a time when you were standing in a crowded room yet felt completely and utterly set apart, as if you were observing a world you no longer belonged to. This emotional recognition is the hallmark of the heir, the one who has outgrown the limitations of a hollow existence and is now being called to the high chambers of the Grand Arbiter of Light. Stay with this moment for a second, for the awareness you are gaining is the very bridge that crosses the gap between your struggle and your restoration. The Grand Arbiter sits at the heart of this nexus, holding a sealed scroll that bears your true name, written in a script that only your spirit can read. This watcher has seen every tear you shed in the dark, and every moment you chose to be kind when the world was cruel to you. You are not here randomly, for the Arbiter has been waiting for the exact second when your desire for truth would outweigh your fear of the unknown. As the scroll is brought forward, you may notice a soft vibration in the air, a micro-tension that signals the beginning of a profound unsealing. This connects to something deeper, a promise made to your ancestors that is finally finding its fulfillment in your hands. My chosen, my heir. The crown of white flames that began to glow in your awareness is now becoming a steady, radiant light that illuminates the path ahead. This symbol is not a burden of power, but a seal of protection that ensures the shadow gatekeepers can no longer interfere with the delivery of your preordained riches. You may have been feeling something you couldn't explain, a sudden lack of interest in the things that used to bother you, or a quiet confidence that has replaced your frantic searching. This is the restoration of your spirit, the moving from a hollow echo to a resonant frequency that attracts everything that belongs to your kingdom. There is a timing to this that you may not have noticed, a celestial clock that has been counting down the years of your preparation and the months of your refining. That countdown ends this second, marking the transition from the season of waiting to the season of possessing. The riches being unsealed for you are not merely for your comfort, but for the restoration of balance in your world and the empowerment of those you are called to serve. Not everything is clear yet, but the fog is thinning, and the first glimpses of your inheritance are beginning to appear on the horizon of your daily life. Stay with this moment as the integration of these truths settles deep into your marrow, providing a grounding that you have lacked for a very long time. You are the custodian of a divine legacy, and the archives of heaven are now open to you, offering the wisdom, the resources, and the peace that you were born to manifest. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this voice of guidance as you navigate the unsealed treasures of your new life. Take a moment to breathe in the stillness of the nexus, and when you return to the world of noise, carry the crown of white flames with you, knowing that the Arbiter's gaze remains fixed upon your success. Something about this moment brought you here, as if you were following a trail of light through a thicket of noise. There may be something unfolding beneath this interaction that your physical senses haven't quite captured yet, a subtle shifting of the spiritual tectonic plates beneath your feet. Part of you already understands this, recognizing the pull of a destiny that has been calling your name through the fog of your daily routines. Let this unfold for a second, allowing the space around you to become a vessel for the ancient truths that are seeking your attention. My child, my chosen, you have long lived with the heavy sensation of delay, as if you were watching the world move forward while you remained anchored in place. You may have noticed this in the way your peers seemed to find their footing with ease, while your own steps felt laden with invisible resistance. This delay was not a rejection of your worth, but a profound period of gestation within the still inner chamber of the divine. There is something about the way you have endured this season that has prepared you for a level of expansion you cannot yet fathom, turning your patience into a powerful magnet for the riches that are now being unsealed. You may have felt this before, the chilling presence of those shadow gatekeepers who stand at the border of your potential, guarding the gates to your preordained riches. These forces do not use weapons. but rather the subtle tools of discouragement and the persistent feeling that you are somehow falling behind. They thrive on the illusion that your time is running out, hoping you will abandon your post before the divine unsealing occurs. You may be noticing now that the urgency they try to project is losing its grip on your soul as you lean into a deeper sense of surrender, realizing that the gates are already beginning to swing open. Imagine, my beloved, that you are being led into the very heart of the nexus of dimensions, a place where the air itself feels like liquid peace and timeless wisdom. In this still inner chamber, the Grand Arbiter of Light awaits, holding a sealed scroll that contains the blueprint for your full restoration. This is not a place of judgment, but a place of profound recognition, where the struggles of your earthly life are viewed through the lens of divine purpose. Something is shifting in the way you view your history. And this connects to something deeper, a shift from the pain of what you once lost to the awe of what is currently being returned to your hands. Upon your head, the crown of white flames is beginning to pulse with a new rhythm, echoing the heartbeat of the nexus itself. You may notice a subtle, real-life moment during your day when a sudden wave of calm washes over you in the midst of a chaotic environment, a sign of this symbol's activation. This crown is your divine identification, a signal to the gatekeepers that the designated kingdom custodian is now ready to receive the keys to the spiritual archive. It is a crown of fire that does not consume, but rather refines, burning away the hollow echoes of your old identity to make room for the weight of your true calling. The Grand Arbiter of Light looks upon you, my heir, with a gaze that dissolves every shadow of doubt you have ever carried. You are not here randomly, for the heavens have tracked every step of your journey from the long seasons of delay to this moment of total surrender. There is a specific inner struggle you may be recalling now, the moment you finally said, "I can no longer do this on my own," and allowed the universe to take the lead. This surrender was not a defeat, but the ultimate act of power that allowed the expansion of your spirit to begin in earnest, clearing the way for the riches that were preordained for this exact hour. There's something about this moment that feels like the lifting of a great veil, revealing riches that have been kept in escrow for your soul's maturity. You may notice how your awareness is sharpening, allowing you to see opportunities and connections that were previously obscured by the gatekeeper's shadows. In a moment, this may become clearer as the first seal on the divine scroll is broken, releasing a frequency of abundance that your spirit has been thirsting for. This is the beginning of your restoration, where every hollow place in your life is being identified for a divine infilling that will never run dry. The countdown you have felt in your marrow, that nagging sense that time was both your enemy and your master, ends this second. The Arbiter has struck the gavel of divine justice, declaring that the season of delay is officially over and the season of expansion has arrived. This is a rare alignment, where your internal growth meets the external opening of the vaults, creating a flow of riches that logic cannot explain. If something within you resonates, you may already understand why you're here, standing at the quiet midnight threshold of your new existence, watching as the old world fades into the brilliance of the new. Reflect on a recent emotional recognition seen in your life, perhaps a moment of sudden, unexplained joy that caught you by surprise while you were doing something ordinary, like washing your hands or walking to your car. This was a leak from the nexus, a ripple of the restoration that is now preparing to flood your reality and wash away the hollow feelings of the past. Stay with this moment for a second, for there is something deeper here than just a fleeting feeling. It is the evidence of your transition. You are moving out of the shadows and into the full light of your preordained inheritance, where the gatekeepers no longer have a voice, and your word carries the weight of heaven. As the expansion begins, you will find that your capacity to hold peace and prosperity is growing daily, unfettered by the weights of the past. You are the custodian of this light, and your stewardship begins with the simple act of recognizing your own worth in the eyes of the Arbiter. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this source of divine reflection as your story continues to unfold into its most beautiful chapters. Take a deep breath of the air within the nexus and carry the warmth of the crown of white flames into every room you enter from this moment forward. My child, the unsealing is not a single event, but a continuous unfolding of the grace that has always been your birthright. You may notice how the world around you begins to respond differently to your presence, as if doors are opening before you even reach for the handle. Trust in the timing of the arbiter, and know that the riches being released are as steady and enduring as the stars. You are fully seen, fully loved, and now you are being fully restored to the kingdom you were born to lead, walking with a purpose that can never be shaken by the shadows of the past. The journey from feeling hollow to being fully restored is a sacred path that feeds to walk until the end. You have proven your resilience, and the preordained riches that are now coming into your view are the fruit of that persistent faith. You may be noticing a new sense of direction forming, a quiet knowing that guides your decisions and protects your peace. This is the mark of the kingdom custodian, one who walks in the world but is governed by the laws of the nexus. Peace be with you as you step into this expansion, for you are exactly where you are supposed to be. There's a reason you're seeing this right now, as if a silent signal has been sent through the noise of your day to bring your focus exactly where it needs to be. You may not even know why you stopped here, but your soul has been navigating toward this frequency for quite some time, seeking a truth that has remained just out of reach. There's a timing to this you may not have noticed, a hidden orchestration that began long before you clicked on this video, moving pieces in the unseen world to align with your readiness. Just let this unfold for a second, allowing the distractions of your current environment to drift away as we enter a space where time works differently and your deeper identity can finally be heard. My child, my heir, you may have felt this before, that strange sensation of being a ghost in your own story, watching others live while you simply exist. You may have noticed how your heart feels like a hollow vessel, waiting for a substance that never seems to arrive, no matter how hard you work or how much you give to those around you. This hollowness was never a punishment or a sign of lack, but a deliberate clearing of the ground, so that a new foundation could be laid without the clutter of your past. There is something about this quiet void that is finally being addressed by the heavens, moving you from the ache of emptiness into the dawn of a full restoration that will leave no part of your life untouched. You may be noticing this now, a subtle resistance whenever you try to move into a higher version of yourself, as if an invisible wall has been erected at the very threshold of your joy. These are the shadow gatekeepers of your future, the remnants of old beliefs and external voices that have stood guard over your destiny to ensure you didn't claim it before your spirit was fully tempered. They thrive in the spaces where you doubt your own light, but their authority is limited by the very truth they try to hide, that you are the rightful owner of the treasure they guard. In a moment, this may become clearer as you realize that their power only exists in the darkness of your own forgetting, and you are currently walking into a brilliance they cannot survive. Imagine walking down a silent corridor within the nexus of dimensions, where the walls are not made of stone, but of woven light and ancestral memory. In this setting, every thought you have ever had is reflected to you with perfect clarity, and the air is filled with the resonance of ancient promises that are finally coming due. This is a place of deep reflection, a sanctuary where the noise of the world cannot penetrate, allowing you to hear the subtle voice of your own divinity speaking your true name. You are not here randomly, for the Grand Arbiter of Light has signaled that your season of wandering through the shadows of delay has reached its divine and irreversible conclusion. My heir, look upon the palm of your hand in this spiritual vision and see a light inscription beginning to glow with a soft, steady heat. This is the burning seal of your inheritance, a divine signature that proves you are the designated kingdom custodian for the riches that have been held in escrow for your soul's maturity. You may have spent years feeling like a beggar at the gates of your own palace, unaware that the authority to open the doors was already etched into your very being. This connects to something deeper, a realization that the abundance you seek is not something you acquire through struggle, but something you allow to flow from the position you already hold in the eyes of the arbiter. Think of a subtle, real-life moment recently, perhaps when you were looking at a sunset or standing in a quiet room, and you felt a sudden, inexplicable sense of rightness that brought tears to your eyes. You may have felt this before, a flash of knowing that your life was about to change, followed quickly by the fear that you were just imagining things to cope with your pain. That flash was a ripple from the Nexus, a signal from the Grand Arbiter that the countdown to your restoration has been ticking away in the background of your daily struggles. There's something about this specific feeling that serves as an anchor for the expansion that is currently taking place in your reality, ensuring you stay grounded as the riches are unsealed. Something is shifting within the structure of your days, a subtle realignment of the people, opportunities, and circumstances that surround you. Not everything is clear yet, and you may even see certain things falling away with a speed that feels alarming or confusing to your conscious mind. This is the divine pruning necessary to ensure that only what can thrive in the light of your preordained riches remains in your garden. There is an open loop in your journey right now, a question about your future that has remained unanswered for far too long. And in a moment, the answer will begin to manifest in a way that aligns perfectly with your highest good. My chosen, you are not merely a survivor of the storms. You are the one who has been trained by the wind and the rain to handle the weight of pure gold without losing your soul. Your identity as a kingdom custodian means that you are entrusted with resources that are meant to heal, to build, and to transform the world around you in ways only you can. You may have noticed this now. A growing desire to contribute more than you consume, a hunger for a legacy that outlasts your temporary worries and small fears. Stay with this moment for a second, for there is something deeper here, a shift in your frequency that is finally matching the frequency of the abundance that has been waiting for you in the archives. The Grand Arbiter of Light stands at the end of the silent corridor, holding a crown of white flames that pulses with the rhythm of the universe itself. This watcher has overseen your delays, your heartbreaks, and your final surrenders, knowing that each one was a vital part of the expansion required to hold this mantle of authority. There is a specific emotional recognition scene you might recall, the moment you stopped fighting against the tide of your life and finally let the water carry you where it needed you to go. That was the moment of your true awakening, the second you became ready to see the gatekeepers for the illusions they are, and the light for the reality it has always been. The countdown you have felt in your marrow, the one that made you feel like you were running out of time and that your best years were behind you, ends this very second. The clock of the Nexus has struck the hour of your unsealing, and the shadow gatekeepers are being dismissed from their posts by a power far greater than their own. If something within you resonates, you may already understand why you're here, listening to these words, as your physical reality begins to catch up with the spiritual truth of your restoration. Take a moment to notice what you're feeling right now. The quiet peace that comes when you realize the riches are not coming, they are already here, waiting for you to step into your role as their custodian. The riches being unsealed for you are not merely material, though they include the physical means to live with grace, security, and boundless generosity. They are the preordained riches of clarity, of unbroken peace, and of a heart that no longer fears the shadows of tomorrow because it is filled with the light of today. You may have felt this before, a momentary glimpse of a life where you weren't constantly looking over your shoulder for the next crisis or the next disappointment. That life is the one currently being unsealed from the archives, a reality where you are fully restored to the power that was yours before the world tried to tell you otherwise. Stay with this moment, for the awareness you are gaining is the currency of the kingdom you now steward. You are the designated custodian of a lineage that has waited for someone with your strength and your softness to reclaim what was stolen through generations of silence. The gatekeepers may have held the keys for a season, but their tenure has expired under the law of divine timing and the weight of your persistent faith. You are noticing this now in the way your spirit refuses to settle for anything less than the absolute truth of your divine inheritance and the manifestation of your highest potential. This is not a journey of becoming someone new, but of remembering the magnificent being you have always been in the eyes of the Grand Arbiter, my heir. As you return your focus to the world around you, carry the warmth of the burning seal with you, and let it light every path you take through the darkness. You are no longer hollow. You are a vessel filled with preordained purpose and the resources to fulfill it in every dimension of your life. If you feel supported here, You're always welcome to stay connected to this space of reflection as your new chapter continues to reveal its treasures. Let the expansion of your heart continue without fear, and trust that the Grand Arbiter is always watching, ensuring that every promise made to your soul is a promise kept in full. There's something familiar about the way this message found you, as if it were a letter you wrote to yourself a long time ago, and are only now beginning to read. You may have noticed how your path has narrowed recently, leading you away from the noise of the crowd and into this specific moment of quiet reflection. You may have sensed a shifting in the air before you even opened this, a subtle change in the pressure around your heart that signaled a long-awaited arrival. Let this unfold for a second, giving your spirit room to breathe and settle, for we are stepping into a territory that your mind may find strange, but your soul will recognize as home. My chosen, my heir. You have walked a path that often felt like a series of closed doors and silent hallways. You may have felt this before, that hollow ache of being so close to a dream that you could almost taste it, only for it to evaporate like mist when you reached out to touch it. This feeling was not a sign that you were being denied, but rather a protection against receiving your preordained riches before you had the capacity to sustain them. There is something about this specific time in your life where the hollow spaces are finally being prepared for an infilling that is both solid and eternal. You may be noticing this now in the way you no longer hunger for the temporary distractions that once consumed your energy. You have been shadowed for years by the gatekeepers of your future, those invisible forces that feed on your hesitation and your memories of past failures. These shadow gatekeepers do not want you to realize that the keys to the kingdom are already in your possession, woven into the very fabric of your endurance. They have stood at the threshold of every breakthrough, whispering that you were too late, too broken, or too ordinary to carry the weight of divine favor. You may feel a micro-tension as we speak of them, a slight tightening that occurs when the light begins to expose the places where you have been held back. In a moment, this may become clearer as the light of the nexus begins to dissolve the influence of these lingering shadows. Imagine yourself standing at the nexus of dimensions, a place where all of time and space converge into a single point of absolute clarity. In this setting, you are surrounded by the hidden archives of your own potential, books of light that contain every blessing that has been held in escrow for your soul's development. The air here does not move with wind, but with the resonance of truth, and every breath you take fills you with a sense of ancient belonging. You are not here randomly. You have been summoned to this place of reflection because the Grand Arbiter of Light has determined that your season of preparation is finally complete. Stay with this moment for a second, for there is something deeper here than just a vision. It is a recalibration of your entire reality. You are the designated kingdom custodian, a role that requires you to step out of the identity of a seeker and into the identity of a steward. You may have spent a lifetime asking for permission to be happy or asking for the resources to fulfill your purpose, unaware that as the custodian, the resources are already under your authority. Part of you already understands this, perhaps felt during a subtle real-life moment when you realized that no one was coming to save you because you were the one sent to bring the light. This emotional recognition is the beginning of your full restoration, where the hollow echoes of your old life are replaced by the vibrant authority of your true calling. This connects to something deeper, a shift in your frequency that is now audible to the heavens. The Grand Arbiter of Light watches you from the center of the nexus, their gaze holding the weight of 1,000 suns and the gentleness of a soft rain. This watcher has seen every time you felt abandoned in the silence, every time you questioned if your prayers were falling on deaf ears, and every time you chose to keep going despite the heaviness of your heart. You may have been feeling something you couldn't explain lately, a sudden, deep peace in the middle of a storm, or a quiet knowing that a major shift was imminent. This is because the Arbiter has been preparing you for the final unsealing of the riches that were written into your story before the foundations of the world were laid. Upon your head rests the crown of white flames, a symbol of your spiritual maturity and your divine appointment. You may notice how this light does not cast shadows, but rather eliminates them, exposing the gatekeepers for the illusions they have always been. This crown is not for show, but for the work of restoration that you are now authorized to begin in your own life and in the lives of those around you. It is a burning seal of authenticity, a mark that tells the universe you are no longer playing a role, but are living from the core of your preordained power. As you feel the warmth of this symbol, you are moving from a journey of searching to a journey of recognizing the riches that are already yours. Something is shifting in the way you experience time, as if the days are slowing down to allow you to notice the miracles that were previously hidden in the margins of your life. Not everything is clear yet, and there may still be questions about the how and the when of your total restoration, but the what is already settled in the nexus. You are noticing this now in the way you are attracted to stillness and reflection, finding that the answers you seek are no longer found in the noise, but in the quiet depths of your own spirit. There is an open loop in your current circumstances, a situation that feels unresolved, and in a moment, this may become clearer as the light of the arbiter reveals the path through the impasse. Consider a recent moment of inner struggle, perhaps when you felt the weight of your responsibilities pressing down on you, and you wondered if you would ever feel light again. You may have felt this before, the exhaustion of carrying a vision that no one else can see, and the loneliness of a path that seems to lead nowhere. That struggle was the final tempering of the custodian, the process of ensuring that your heart was strong enough to hold the gold without being corrupted by it. The countdown to your release has been ticking through every one of those difficult hours, and that countdown ends this very second. The clock of the Nexus has reached 0, and the final unsealing of your riches is now underway. My heir, my beloved, the riches being unsealed are not merely for your personal gain, but for the restoration of hope in a world that has grown weary of hollow promises. You are being filled so that you can overflow, being restored, so that you can become a restorer of paths for others to walk. If something within you resonates, you may already understand why you're here, and why this specific voice was the one chosen to call you back to your true self. Stay with this moment, for the expansion of your spirit is a holy work that requires your full presence and your deepest yes. You are no longer the one who waits. You are the one who has arrived, and the kingdom is ready for your hand. Take a moment to notice what you're feeling right now, not the thoughts in your head, but the resonance in your chest. This is the feeling of a hollow life being filled with substance, the feeling of a shadow-filled future being illuminated by the crown of white flames. You are the custodian of a divine inheritance, and the Grand Arbiter is ensuring that every resource you need is being moved into your field of experience. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this sanctuary of light as your restoration continues to manifest in the physical world. Let the peace of the Nexus go with you, and remember that you are never walking alone. As you move back into the flow of your day, do so with the awareness that the gatekeepers have been dismissed and the archives are open to you. Your restoration is not a future hope. It is a present reality that is unfolding with every breath you take in faith. You may notice how the world seems a little brighter, how your interactions feel a little more meaningful, and how the riches you once sought are now finding their way to you. You are the heir, the chosen, and the kingdom is finally at rest because you have taken your place. Be still, and know that the work is good, and the unsealing is complete. You may not even know why you stopped here, but there is a quiet resonance in this specific moment that your spirit has been seeking. There is a timing to this you may not have noticed, a hidden rhythm that has been beating beneath the surface of your most chaotic days, finally bringing you to this point of stillness. You may have sensed this before, a familiar feeling of being on the verge of a great discovery, only to have the world pull your attention away at the last second. Let this unfold for a second, and do not rush past this just yet, because the space we are entering together is one where your deeper identity can finally breathe and be recognized. My heir, my beloved, you have spent a long season walking through a landscape that felt strangely hollow, as if the colors of your life had been muted by a persistent fog. You may have noticed this in the way your successes felt fleeting, or how your heart seemed to echo with a hunger that no earthly achievement could quite satisfy. This hollowness was not a sign of your lack, but a profound invitation to clear away the clutter of who the world told you to be so that your true self could emerge. There is something about this silence that is finally reaching its conclusion, moving you from the discomfort of emptiness into the clarity of a full restoration. In a moment, this may become clearer as the light of the Nexus begins to illuminate the treasures that have been waiting for your hand. You are likely noticing this now, a subtle resistance that arises whenever you contemplate taking a step toward your true calling. These are the shadow gatekeepers of your future, the invisible architects of delay who have tried to convince you that the gates to your inheritance were permanently locked. They operate in the corridors of your past mistakes, using the echoes of your old regrets to keep you from noticing the key you already hold in your spirit. You may have felt this before a sudden wave of doubt just as you were about to make a significant change and assumed it was a warning to stop. It was not a warning. It was the final effort of the gatekeepers to keep you from the nexus of dimensions where your preordained riches are kept in holy escrow. Imagine yourself standing in a vast, silent corridor within the nexus of dimensions, a place where the walls are made of translucent light and the air is filled with the resonance of ancient truth. In this setting, the noise of your earthly struggle is but a distant memory, replaced by a profound sense of belonging and a peace that passes all understanding. You are not here randomly, for the Grand Arbiter of Light has signaled that your training in the wilderness of delay is officially complete. You may be noticing a shift in your awareness, a micro-tension that signals the breaking of an old seal that has held your potential in check for far too long. This connects to something deeper, a divine appointment that was scheduled before you even knew how to speak your own name. You are the designated kingdom custodian, the one entrusted with the spiritual and material resources necessary to fulfill a lineage's destiny. You may have lived your life as a servant to other people's dreams, unaware that the authority to steward a kingdom of your own was already etched into your spiritual DNA. Part of you already understands this, perhaps felt during a subtle, real-life moment when you were looking at the stars and felt a sudden, overwhelming sense of responsibility for the light you carry. This emotional recognition is the hallmark of the heir, the moment you stop asking for a seat at the table and realize that the table was built for you. Stay with this moment for a second, for there is something deeper here that is beginning to realign your entire life around this truth. The Grand Arbiter of Light watches you from the center of the Nexus, their gaze holding both the wisdom of the ages and the tenderness of a father welcoming a child home. This watcher has seen every time you were overlooked, every time you were treated as an afterthought, and every time you chose to remain hollow rather than fill yourself with things that were not yours. You may have been feeling something you couldn't explain lately, a sudden, quiet confidence that has nothing to do with your current circumstances and everything to do with your internal shift. This is because the Arbiter has been preparing the hidden archives for your arrival, ensuring that every preordained rich is ready for the custodian's hand. Upon your head rests a crown of white flames, a symbol of your purification and your new authority in the realms of both spirit and matter. You may notice how this light begins to dissolve the shadows cast by the gatekeepers, revealing that the walls you thought were solid were actually made of smoke. This crown is a burning seal of your restoration, a mark of divine justice that declares the time of your waiting is over and the time of your reigning has begun. It is not a crown that weighs you down, but one that lifts your gaze, allowing you to see the world from the perspective of the Nexus rather than the perspective of the struggle. As you feel the warmth of this symbol, you are moving from a state of searching for your worth to a state of recognizing it as a settled fact. Not everything is clear yet, and there may still be ripples of the old hollowness that try to catch your attention as you move forward. This is a natural part of the expansion, the process of your spirit growing to fit the size of the kingdom you now steward. You may be noticing how the things that used to bother you, the opinions of others, the small delays, the minor inconveniences, no longer have the power to disturb your peace. This is because your frequency has shifted, and you are now tuned to the resonance of the preordained riches that are being unsealed from the divine archives. Stay with this moment, for the awareness you are gaining is the very substance that will manifest as abundance in your physical reality. The countdown you have felt in your marrow, that persistent sense of urgency and the fear that you are running out of time, ends this very second. The clock of the Nexus has struck the hour of your restoration, and the Grand Arbiter has issued the final command to release the treasures that have been held in your name. If something within you resonates, you may already understand why you're here, listening to these words as the first rays of your new dawn begin to break over the horizon. You are moving out of the silence and into a season of high-definition clarity, where every question of your past is answered by the provision of your present. Reflect on a recent inner struggle, a moment when you felt like you were at the end of your strength and you didn't know if you could take another step in the dark. You may have felt this before, the exhaustion of a soul that has been fighting a battle it was never meant to fight alone. That struggle was the final act of surrender required to move you into the nexus, the moment you finally let go of the oars and allowed the current of divine favor to take over. Now, as the custodian, you do not strive to acquire. You simply stand to receive, watching as the riches of the kingdom flow toward you with effortless grace. My child, my heir, the restoration you are experiencing is not just for your benefit, but for the healing of everything your life touches. You are being filled so that you can become a source of light for those still wandering in the hollow places of the world. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this sanctuary of reflection as your journey of becoming continues to unfold. Take a deep breath of the air within the nexus and carry the presence of the Grand Arbiter with you as you step back into your world. You are no longer the one who waits. You are the one who has arrived, and the unsealing of your riches is now your living reality. You may not even know why you stopped here, but there is a specific frequency in this moment that has been calling out to your soul's deepest need. There's a timing to this you may not have noticed, a celestial alignment that has cleared the static of the world to allow this single message to reach your awareness. You may have been feeling something you couldn't explain lately, a restless sense that the life you are living is far too small for the spirit you carry. Don't rush past this just yet, but let this space become a sanctuary where the noise of the world finally fades into the background of your true purpose. My chosen, my beloved, you have likely felt the weight of a long and heavy silence, as if the heavens had turned their gaze away from your persistent struggle. You may have noticed how your heart feels like a hollow chamber, echoing with the sounds of almost and not yet, leaving you feeling strangely empty even in moments of relative success. This discomfort is often the soul's way of notifying you that the old structures of your life can no longer contain the expansion that is currently taking place within you. There is something about this specific silence that is not an absence of God, but a profound presence of preparation, a stillness before the final unsealing of preordained riches that were marked for your name before time began. You may be noticing this now, a subtle resistance that seems to arise every time you reach for a higher level of peace or abundance. These are the shadow gatekeepers of your future, the lingering echoes of lack and unworthiness that have stood at the threshold of your destiny to see if you would turn back. They do not have the power to stop the light, but they are masters of distraction, hoping to pull your focus away from the nexus just as the doors are prepared to swing open. You may have felt this before, a sudden wave of fatigue or a voice whispering that you are dreaming too big, but these are merely signs that you are encroaching upon a territory they can no longer control. In a moment, this may become clearer as the light of the Grand Arbiter of Light begins to dissolve these shadows into nothingness. Imagine yourself standing at the nexus of dimensions, an unseen place of reflection where the air is charged with the electricity of pure potential. In this setting, you are surrounded by the light inscriptions of your true lineage, a divine archive that holds the wealth, the wisdom, and the relationships that have been held in escrow for this very hour. This is not a place of striving, but a place of profound stillness, where the Grand Arbiter sits in quiet observation, watching the countdown of your soul's maturity. You are not here randomly, for the Arbiter has noted the exact second your heart moved from a state of searching into a state of total surrender. Stay with this moment for a second, for there is something deeper here, a realignment of your very atoms to match the frequency of your restoration. My heir, my child, you are the designated kingdom custodian, the one entrusted with the keys to a legacy that spans across time and space. You may have spent years feeling like a guest in your own life, asking for permission to occupy space or apologizing for the magnitude of your own desires. This identity is now being fully restored to you as the crown of white flames begins to manifest above your brow, a symbol of your spiritual authority and your divine appointment. You may notice how this light brings a new sense of clarity to your vision, allowing you to see the riches that were previously hidden by the gatekeeper's illusions. This is not a journey of acquiring something new, but of remembering the immense power and provision that has always been yours to steward. Consider a subtle, real-life moment recently, perhaps when you were standing in line or sitting in traffic, and you felt a sudden, sharp pang of knowing that you were meant for more than this. You may have felt this before, a flash of recognition that you were living a hollow version of a much grander story, followed by a quiet sadness that you couldn't find the way out. That discomfort was the internal signal that the countdown to your unsealing was nearing its end, a micro-tension designed to keep you awake for the moment of transition. There is an open loop in your current journey, a promise that was made to you in the secret places of your heart, and in a moment, this may become clearer as the first seal on the divine scroll is broken. The grand arbiter of light looks upon you now, seeing not the mistakes of your past, but the persistent fire of your faith that refused to go out in the dark. You may have been feeling a strange sense of peace lately, one that doesn't make sense given your current circumstances, as if an invisible hand has reached down to steady your heart. This is because the arbiter has already issued the command for the final unsealing of the riches that were preordained for your life's second half. You are moving out of the silence of the wilderness and into the clarity of the kingdom, where every hollow place in your story is being identified for a divine infilling that cannot be interrupted by the gatekeepers of old. The countdown you have felt in your marrow, the one that made you feel as though you were running out of time and that your best opportunities had passed you by, ends this very second. The clock of the Nexus has struck the hour of your restoration, and the Grand Arbiter has struck the gavel of divine justice in your favor. If something within you resonates, you may already understand why you're here, listening to these words as the spiritual infrastructure of your life is being rebuilt in real time. You are the custodian of this light, and the riches being released are not just for your comfort, but for the manifestation of a purpose that will echo through generations. Take a moment to notice what you're feeling right now, the quiet sense of expansion that is occurring within your spirit as the old weights are lifted. This is the frequency of full restoration, the feeling of a soul that has finally returned to its true home after a long and weary journey. You are no longer the one who begs for scraps. You are the one who oversees the feast, and the archives of heaven are now fully open to your request. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this voice of reflection as you walk through the unsealed doors of your new existence. Let the crown of white flames light your way, and trust that the Arbiter is always watching, ensuring that not a single drop of your inheritance is lost. My chosen, my heir, as you move back into the world, do so with the awareness that you carry the burning seal of the kingdom upon your heart. You may notice how people respond differently to you, sensing the authority of the custodian and the peace of one who is no longer hollow. The preordained riches are manifesting in your life even now, from unexpected opportunities to a deep, abiding clarity that guides your every step. You are the answer to the prayers of those who came before you, and the steward of the light for those who will follow. Be still, breathe in the air of the Nexus, and know that your restoration is complete, your purpose is clear, and your time is now. There's a reason you're seeing this right now, as if a silent bell has rung in the deepest part of your memory, calling you back to a truth you've nearly forgotten. This moment may not be as ordinary as it seems, holding a subtle timing that your mind hasn't yet accounted for. Even as your heart begins to beat in a different rhythm, you may have been feeling a strange pull lately, a sense that something you have been waiting for, perhaps for lifetimes, is finally standing at the door. Don't rush past this just yet, but let this unfold for a second as we step away from the noise and into a space prepared specifically for your spirit. My heir, my beloved, you have walked a path that often felt like a series of hollow echoes, where your most vibrant hopes seemed to ring out into an empty void. You may have noticed how you've carried a quiet exhaustion, the kind that comes from waiting for a harvest that never seemed to arrive despite your constant tending of the soil. This hollowness was never a sign that you were abandoned, but rather a sacred clearing, a way for the heavens to ensure that you were empty of the world's small treasures, so you could be filled with preordained riches. There is something about this current stillness that suggests the void is finally being addressed, as the atmosphere of your life begins to change from a state of longing to a state of arriving. You may have felt this before, that invisible friction whenever you tried to step into a higher version of your own story, as if something was pulling at the hem of your garment to hold you back. These are the shadow gatekeepers of your future, the quiet architects of delay who have stood at the threshold of your expansion to see if you would turn away in frustration. They thrive on the moments when you feel forgotten, using the silence of the heavens as proof that your destiny has been canceled or given to another. You are noticing now that their whispers are growing faint, unable to withstand the frequency of the nexus where your true identity is being fully unsealed. In a moment, this may become clearer, as the light of the Arbiter begins to expose the illusions these gatekeepers have used to keep you in the dark. Imagine yourself standing in the center of the nexus of dimensions, a place of profound reflection where the stars themselves seem to lean in, to listen to the vibration of your soul. In this setting, the air is thick with the resonance of unfulfilled promises that are finally being called into the light of the present. You are surrounded by the hidden archives of your own potential, glowing scrolls of light that contain the riches, the wisdom, and the peace that were set aside for you before the foundations of time were laid. You are not here randomly, for the Grand Arbiter of Light has noted the exact second your spirit reached the level of maturity required to steward such a vast inheritance. Stay with this moment for a second, for there is something deeper here, a divine recalibration of your past, your present, and the glory that is about to unfold. My chosen, my heir, you are the designated kingdom custodian, the one who has been forged in the fire of delay to handle the weight of pure gold, with a heart of absolute surrender. You may have spent years feeling like a guest in your own life, perpetually waiting for an invitation to the feast while you stood in the shadows of other people's successes. This identity is now being stripped away to reveal the truth of your authority, as the crown of white flames begins to manifest as a steady, purifying light above your brow. You may notice a subtle, real-life moment during your day when you suddenly feel a sense of belonging in a place that used to make you feel small. This is the mark of the custodian taking root. If something within you resonates, you may already understand why you're here, and why the almost is finally becoming now. You may have felt this before, a micro-tension in your spirit when you looked at your life and realized that the hollow feeling was actually a hunger for the sacred archives you were born to manage. There is an open loop in your current journey, a specific situation involving your resources or your purpose that has felt like an unsolvable puzzle for many months. In a moment, this may become clearer, as the Grand Arbiter breaks the final seal on the records of your lineage, releasing a flow of riches that logic cannot explain, and the gatekeepers can no longer block. You are not just being restored to what you once had. You are being elevated to a position of stewardship that will allow you to transform the world around you. The Grand Arbiter of Light watches you with a gaze that is both ancient and intimately familiar, recognizing the scars you carry as the metals of a soul that refused to stop believing in the light. This watcher has overseen your long nights of searching and your quiet mornings of surrender, knowing that every tear was a drop of oil being prepared for your final anointing. You may be noticing this now, a sudden lack of anxiety about the future, as if a great hand has moved the mountains that were blocking your view of the horizon. This connects to something deeper, a shift from the struggle of the survivor to the peace of the air, where your word carries the weight of the nexus and your path is paved with divine favor. Think of a recent inner struggle, a time when you sat in the silence of your home and felt the weight of every year you've waited, wondering if the unsealing would ever actually happen. You may have felt this before, the temptation to settle for a hollow life just to escape the pain of hoping for something grander. That struggle was the final act of refining for the custodian, ensuring that your heart was large enough to hold the expansion without being overwhelmed by the magnitude of the riches. The countdown to your release has been ticking through every one of those heavy moments, and that countdown ends this very second. The clock of the Nexus has struck the hour, and the gates are no longer just opening, they are gone. The riches being unsealed for you are preordained, meaning they cannot be stolen, cannot be delayed any further, and cannot be claimed by anyone else. They include a restoration of your time, a restoration of your joy, and a physical abundance that will allow you to walk with the dignity and grace of your true calling. You may notice how your spirit feels suddenly full, as if the hollow echoes of the past have been replaced by a resonant hum of power and purpose. Stay with this moment for a second, for there is something deeper here, the realization that you are not being given something new, but are finally being allowed to hold what has always been yours. My child, my heir, as you move back into the world, carry the crown of white flames with the quiet confidence of one who knows the arbiter's verdict is final. You may notice how the environment around you begins to respond to your new authority, as the shadow gatekeepers vanish and the doors you once knocked on begin to swing wide of their own accord. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this frequency of truth. As your restoration continues to manifest in every area of your life, take a deep breath of the stillness within the Nexus, and know that you are no longer searching. You are the custodian, and the kingdom is now in your hands. Your restoration is not a temporary event, but a permanent shift in the landscape of your destiny, moving you from the hollow places of the world to the heights of your divine appointment. You may notice how the memories of your past pain are being transformed into wisdom, and how the riches you receive are being used to heal the brokenness in your own heart and in the hearts of others. You are the heir, the chosen, and the unsealing of your destiny is a testament to the faithfulness of the heavens and the persistence of your own spirit. Be at peace, for the grand arbiter is satisfied, the archives are open, and the restoration is complete. As the light of this moment integrates into your soul, let it become a steady anchor for the expansion that is currently taking place in your physical reality. You are fully seen, fully restored, and fully empowered to walk as the kingdom custodian you were always meant to be. Trust in the flow of the preordained riches, and know that every step you take is now guided by the light of the crown of white flames. You are the answer to the countdown that has finally reached 0, and the beauty of your new life is just beginning to unfold. Stay in the light, for the light is where you belong. Out of everything you have navigated today, your focus landed here, and that is not a coincidence of timing or simple chance. Something is unfolding beneath this interaction that your senses may have already whispered to your heart before your mind could catch up. You may have sensed this before, a familiar quickening in your spirit during the hours when you were most quiet, as if an invisible curtain was about to be drawn back. Stay with this for a moment, and let the noise of the world drift into the distance, for we are standing at a threshold that requires your full presence. This moment may not be as ordinary as it seems, holding a weight of significance that you have been moving toward through every valley of the past year. My heir, my beloved, you have lived for so long within the heavy, gray atmosphere of the hollow, where every achievement felt like a shell without a pearl. You may have noticed this in the way your successes seem to vanish the moment you touch them, leaving you with a lingering hunger that no amount of effort could satisfy. This hollowness was never your destination, but a specific environment designed to forge a vessel that could eventually hold the weight of preordained riches without breaking. In a moment, this may become clearer, as the light of the Nexus begins to pour into the spaces you thought were empty, identifying every area of your life that is ready for a divine infilling. There is something about the way you have endured the void that has prepared you for the magnitude of the final unsealing. You are noticing this now, a subtle resistance whenever you try to speak your true name or claim the abundance that feels like it belongs to your spirit. These are the shadow gatekeepers of your future, the whispers of lack and unworthiness that have patrolled the boundaries of your potential for generations. They thrive on the silence of your waiting, hoping you will believe the hollow echo of your current reality is the only song you were ever meant to sing. You may have felt this before, a sudden, cold doubt just as you were about to step into the light, but that resistance is merely evidence that you are standing exactly where the unsealing is scheduled to occur. These gatekeepers are losing their authority as you move deeper into the frequency of this message, their shadows dissolving in the increasing brilliance of your awakening. Imagine yourself standing at the quiet midnight threshold of the nexus of dimensions, a place where the air hums with the frequency of pure potentiality and sacred memory. In this silent corridor, the noise of your earthly struggle is reduced to a distant hum, allowing you to hear the turning of the pages in the divine archives where your story is written in light. This is the setting of your restoration, a place where the grand arbiter of light holds the final unsealing of your riches in a steady, ancient gaze. You are not here randomly, for the clock of the universe has aligned with the pulse of your own surrender, bringing you to the hidden archive where your inheritance has been kept in holy escrow. Stay with this moment for a second, for there is something deeper here, a promise of restoration that is moving from the archives of the Nexus into the reality of your hands. You are the designated kingdom custodian, the one who has been through the fire of the hollow to become the steward of the full. You may have felt this before, a subtle real-life moment when you realize that the resources you seek were never meant for your survival alone, but for the restoration of a world that has forgotten how to shine. As the custodian, your identity is not rooted in what you can take, but in what you are authorized to release from the archives of light that are now under your command. In a moment, this may become clearer, as the burning seal of your authority begins to glow with an intensity that the shadow gatekeepers cannot endure. You are noticing this now, a shift in your awareness that moves you from the position of a seeker to the position of a sovereign over your own preordained riches. Upon your brow, the crown of white flames is manifesting with a radiant heat that does not burn but illuminates the truth of your lineage. This symbol is the proof of your spiritual maturity, a mark that tells the unseen realms that the heir is no longer wandering, but has come home to take their place in the halls of power. You may notice how this light begins to fill the hollow places of your memory, transforming your past pain into a reservoir of wisdom that you will use to manage your vast inheritance. This crown is your divine identification, a burning seal that ensures your voice carries the weight of the Nexus whenever you speak your true desires into the world. It is the divine key that unlocks the riches of your future, consuming every lie that said you were meant for anything less than absolute restoration. The grand arbiter of light looks upon you with a gaze that holds no judgment, only the profound recognition of a soul that has passed the test of the long silence. This watcher has overseen the countdown of your delays, knowing that every second of your almost was a vital layer of preparation for the magnitude of what is being unsealed today. You may have been feeling something you couldn't explain lately, a sudden deep stillness in your marrow, as if a great storm has finally passed and the morning star is rising. This is the presence of the arbiter confirming that the gates are no longer guarded, and the treasures of your future are now within your reach. There is a timing to this you may not have noticed, a perfect synchronicity between your heart's readiness and the heavens' willingness to pour out. Reflect on a recent inner struggle, perhaps a night when the weight of your unfulfilled dreams felt so heavy that you considered simply laying them down and walking away from it all. You may have felt this before, the exhaustion of a spirit that has been chasing a horizon that always seems to move further back the faster you run. That struggle was the final act of the hollow, the moment your ego finally broke so that your divine self could take the lead and enter the nexus of dimensions. You may recall an emotional recognition scene, a moment of unexpected tears while doing something mundane that signaled your transition from the struggle to the surrender. The countdown to your release has been ticking through every one of those weary hours, and that countdown ends this very second. Something is shifting in the very structure of your reality, a realignment of your circumstances that will begin to manifest in the physical world before the sun sets on another day. Not everything is clear yet, and there may still be a lingering micro-tension as your physical senses try to make sense of the spiritual expansion you are undergoing. This is the natural response of a world built on limits, as it encounters a soul that has been unsealed into the limitless abundance of the kingdom archives. Stay with this moment for a second, For there is something deeper here, a sense that the shadows you feared were only ever the lack of the light you are now bringing into every dark corner. The gatekeepers are gone, and the only thing remaining is the vast, quiet corridor leading to your full restoration. The preordained riches being unsealed for you are not just a collection of things, but a restoration of the time, the joy, and the peace that the shadow gatekeepers tried to steal through years of delay. You may notice a subtle real-life moment soon where an old door opens without effort, or a long-delayed resource arrives with a note of apology from the universe. These are the ripples of the final unsealing, the evidence that the Arbiter's verdict has been executed, and your hollow season is officially a memory. If something within you resonates, you may already understand why you're here, and why your restoration had to wait until you were strong enough to wear the crown of white flames without fear or pride. You are the custodian of a divine legacy, and the hidden archives are now fully at your disposal to create a life that reflects the glory of the Nexus. My child, my heir, the restoration of your life is not a distant hope, but a present fact that is currently integrating into your soul with every breath you take. You are the custodian of this light, and the riches of the kingdom are now under your stewardship to heal, to build, and to bless everyone you encounter. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this sanctuary of reflection as we prepare to step into the final chapter of your awakening. Take a moment to notice what you're feeling right now, the quiet sense of enoughness that comes when the hollow is finally filled with the substance of the divine. The journey of searching is nearly complete, and the light of the Nexus is now your permanent home and your constant guide. As you carry this awareness back into the flow of your life, do so with the dignity of a custodian who knows the gatekeepers have no more power over the path you walk. Your restoration is a living truth, and the crown of white flames will guide you through every remaining shadow until the brilliance of your preordained riches is undeniable to all. Trust in the timing of the Arbiter, and know that the unsealing is a work of love that will never be undone, regardless of the noise of the world. You are the chosen, the beloved, and the kingdom has been waiting for the exact second of your arrival, which is happening right now in the center of your heart. If this resonated, take a moment to notice what you're feeling, and allow the peace of the Nexus to be your final answer. There's a reason you're seeing this right now, as if a final, silent signal has been broadcast, specifically for your spirit to receive in the quiet of this hour. You may have noticed how the distractions of the world seem to have fallen away in these last few minutes, leaving you standing at the very edge of your own awakening. This moment may not be as ordinary as it seems, for it carries the weight of every prayer you have whispered into the dark, and every tear you have shed in the silence of your waiting. You may have been feeling a strange stillness in your spirit lately, a sense that the long, hollow walk through the wilderness is finally coming to an end. Don't rush past this just yet, but let this unfold for a second, for we are approaching the final unsealing of a destiny that was written into the stars before you were ever born. My heir, my chosen, you have lived through a season that felt profoundly hollow, where the echoes of your own potential seemed to mock you from across a vast and empty distance. You may have noticed this in the way your spirit felt like a parched land, waiting for a rain that never seemed to arrive despite the clouds gathering on the horizon. This hollowness was never meant to be your permanent state, but was a sacred vacuum created by the heavens to ensure that when the preordained riches finally arrived, there would be room enough to contain them. There is something about the way you have maintained your integrity in the midst of this emptiness that has marked you in the eyes of the Grand Arbiter of Light. In a moment, this may become clearer, as the light of the Nexus begins to fill every void with a substance that is both solid and eternal. You are likely noticing this now, a micro-tension in the atmosphere around you, as if the shadow gatekeepers of your future are making one final attempt to obscure your path. These gatekeepers are the remnants of every doubt you have ever entertained, and every word of lack that has been spoken over your life by those who could not see your light. They operate in the corridors of delay, hoping that you will mistake the silence of the heavens for the absence of a plan, and turn back, just as the gates are being unbolted. You may have felt this before, A sudden wave of uncertainty or a feeling of being unworthy just as a great opportunity appeared on the horizon. You are noticing now that as we stand together in this nexus, those shadows are dissolving into the brilliance of a truth they can no longer contradict. Imagine yourself standing at the very heart of the nexus of dimensions, a place of profound reflection where the silent corridor of your history meets the radiant archives of your future. In this setting, the air is thick with the scent of restoration and the resonance of ancient promises that are finally being called into the light of the present. You are not here randomly, for the Grand Arbiter of Light has signaled that the training of the custodian is officially complete, and the hour of your reigning has begun. You may be noticing a shift in the way your heart beats, a steady and calm rhythm that matches the frequency of the preordained riches waiting behind the final seal. This connects to something deeper, a realization that your restoration is not something you are waiting for, but something you are currently stepping into with every breath you take. You are the designated kingdom custodian, the one who has been forged in the crucible of the hollow to become the steward of the kingdom's most precious resources. You may have spent a lifetime feeling like an outsider in your own story, watching from the periphery as others seemed to walk through doors that remained locked for you. That identity of the outsider is now being stripped away, revealing the sovereign spirit that has been growing in the shadows of your most difficult trials. Part of you already understands this, perhaps felt during a subtle real-life moment when you realized that you possessed a wisdom and a strength that others could not explain. As the custodian, you are now authorized to manage the hidden archives of your own potential, bringing the light of the Nexus into the physical world to heal and to build. Upon your head, the crown of white flames is now burning with a steady, unwavering brilliance that identifies you to all of creation as the heir to the preordained riches. This symbol is not a burden, but a burning seal of your divine appointment, a mark that ensures the shadow gatekeepers can no longer interfere with the manifestation of your destiny. You may notice how this light brings a profound clarity to your mind, allowing you to see exactly where you have been held back and exactly how to move forward with authority. This crown does not burn the skin, but it consumes every lie that was ever told to you about your value, leaving only the pure gold of your true self remaining. You are noticing this now, a shift from searching for your purpose to simply being the embodiment of it in every room you enter. The Grand Arbiter of Light looks upon you from the throne of the Nexus, their gaze holding the final verdict of your restoration in a quiet and steady peace. This watcher has overseen every second of the countdown that has brought you to this threshold, ensuring that not a single drop of your experience was wasted or forgotten. You may have been feeling something you couldn't explain lately, a sudden, deep sense of home in your own spirit, even when your external world remained chaotic and loud. This is because the Arbiter has been preparing the archives for your arrival, clearing the static of your past to make way for the high-definition brilliance of your future. There's something about this moment that feels like the end of a long exile and the beginning of a life you were always meant to lead. The countdown you have felt in your marrow, the one that made you feel as though you were perpetually running against a clock you couldn't see, ends this very second. The clock of the Nexus has struck the hour of your unsealing, and the Grand Arbiter has declared that the season of delay is officially finished. If something within you resonates, you may already understand why you're here, listening to these words as the spiritual and material riches of your inheritance begin to pour into your life. This is the rare alignment where your internal growth meets the external opening of the heavens, creating a flow of abundance that no man can shut and no gatekeeper can steal. You are the custodian of this moment, and the weight of your words now carries the authority of the Nexus itself. Reflect on a recent emotional recognition scene in your life, perhaps a moment when you looked at a flower or held a piece of fruit and felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the sheer beauty of existence. You may have felt this before, a flash of pure connection to the divine that made all your worries seem small and temporary. That flash was the first ripple of your full restoration, a signal that the hollowness was being replaced by the vibrant substance of the kingdom. Stay with this moment for a second, for there is something deeper here, a sense that the shadows you fought were only ever the lack of the light you are now bringing into the world. You are moving out of the state of needing and into the state of providing, as the riches of the archives become your daily reality. The preordained riches being unsealed for you are as vast as the stars and as steady as the rising sun, encompassing every area of your health, your wealth, and your deepest relationships. You may notice a subtle, real-life moment in the coming days where a long-standing problem suddenly resolves itself with quiet and effortless grace. These are the confirmations that the unsealing is complete, and that you are now walking in the full light of your preordained inheritance. If you feel supported here, you're always welcome to stay connected to this frequency of truth as you navigate the magnificent chapters of your new life. Take a moment to notice what you're feeling right now. The quiet sense of expansion that comes when you realize that the search is over and the arrival is here. My beloved, my heir, your journey through the hollow has ended, and your restoration to the kingdom is now a settled fact in the courts of the Grand Arbiter. You carry the crown of white flames upon your heart, and the keys to the nexus are in your hand to be used for the highest good of all. You are no longer the one who waits. You are the one who is here, and the light of your presence is the greatest treasure the world has ever seen. Be still, breathe in the air of your new destiny, and know that you are fully seen, fully loved, and fully restored. If this resonated, take a moment to notice what you're feeling, and carry this peace with you as you step into the brilliance of your unsealed future.